According to St. John, the 18th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
May be seated. Grace, mercy, and peace be with you from God our Father and Jesus Christ, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Amen. As we gather on this last Sunday of the church year, the term king comes out. This is Christ the King Sunday. And when we hear the word king, when we think about king, it calls to mind many things. Benevolent rulers, angry rulers, power-hungry dictators, maybe even that little king from Shrek. We see them, we despise them, we honor them, we form alliances with them. And in all of these, there is a common theme in their rule. Kings rule by aggression, violence. Every earthly king and kingdom has come to rule through violence, either immediate or hereditary. And every kingdom continues to protect their rule and power with violence, with might and strength. So when we hail Christ as King, when we shout with joy and acclamation this last Sunday of the church year, the praise of the King, often the earthly understanding and ideology of king can be imposed. We can claim a ruler who has might and strength. We see Jesus as this great warrior king who will defeat the enemies of evil. And when we look to the future, we see that future understanding of Jesus is accurate. We desire that. We want Jesus to be that warrior Messiah that comes at the end of days, strikes down the great beast and throws him into the pit of fire and sulfur. That is our vision of the time to come. That is what God has tasked the warrior Messiah with, to bring the culmination of the battle between good and evil to earth, when all life will bow down to Jesus, when those books will be opened. There are two sets of books, as we hear from Revelation. There's the books of heaven, where all of our deeds are written down. That's a pleasant thought, isn't it? I can imagine the scribe who's following me around. Probably has carpal tunnel in his brain. But then there's the book of life. The books of heaven list all of our deeds, and the book of life is the one listed with all of the names of those who are entered into eternity. So when we stand at the end of time before the one who judges, and everything is read before us, and then the book of life is opened, and once the book of life is opened, that warrior Messiah, if our name is there, says, "Come into my rest." And if our name is not there, then the warrior Messiah says, "Well, see ya." That is what Jesus is tasked to do in the time to come. But as we gather on this Christ the King Sunday, we also look back this day. We look back to the reign of the true King on earth in Jesus Christ. We see the true nature of this King, Jesus. We see the true scope of his rule. And unlike other kings, Unlike those kings motivated by violence and aggression and force, this king is not motivated or enhanced by force. Christ the King is not driven by accumulation through aggression and violence. His kingdom is another kind, one that has never been seen in the history of the world, and one that has not been mimicked since. A kingdom of peace, ruled by a king truly born into the position. A kingdom that is founded on grace. A kingdom that is founded on grace. When we encounter the gospel today, we encounter Jesus before Pilate. Pilate was a brutal ruler. He kept Jerusalem in line by force. Stories are told of his mass brutality. The Gospel of Luke actually shares a few. And here is this gentle king. This gentle king who could rule with extreme force. Remember, this is the one who commands the legions of angels. And he is standing before the one who uses force to mask fear. It seems like this would be a pay-per-view fight for the ages. This would be the Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson for all time. But this Jesus did not come to force his will. He did not come to force God's will, but to gently show the way God has chosen to act in the world. Mercy and love over aggression and violence. Jesus' own words play this out. He says, my kingdom's not of this world. If I were a king in this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over. Had he been like any other king, war would have ensued. But Jesus is not like any other king. The kingdom that Jesus ushers in is a kingdom of peace. A kingdom not of this world, but of the next world. A kingdom not built on violence or aggression. Not built on the illusion of power propped up by baseless praise and hollow wealth, but a kingdom built on the very foundation of life and death. There is no ruler bigger, stronger, or more just than God. And the strongest ruler does not need to force his own way. It is said that rulers either demand respect or command it. Most rulers demand respect, with the point of a sword, the size of a battleship. But Jesus commands it. He commands it through gentle sacrifice. He commands it through love and service. He commands it by willingly offering himself to the hand of death. Because his kingdom is not of this world. And this world will not have the last word. This true king can see beyond the trappings of power and wealth and might. This true king can see beyond the yes men and women. This true king ushers in the age of redemption. And will usher in the new age of glory. So when we use the term king for Jesus, it has a different meaning. It has a different vision. A vision of peace and justice and mercy and grace. A vision that we as subjects of the King strive to mirror in our own kingdoms. You may think I'm not a king. I wasn't born a king. I have no kingdom. My brothers and sisters, we all rule over some form of kingdom. We are kingdoms in our own family or home. The kingdom of our work, our friends, our social clubs, even the kingdom of ourselves. Though they may not be earth-shaking kingdoms, things that will dictate the very nature of how the world is run, each of us are in charge of something. Each of us rules something. And our rule will be influenced by the rule of those before us. Our rule, our actions, our choices have been taught to us, and they will have an impact on others. As subject to the true King, As subject to the maker of heaven and earth, we are called to mirror that leadership choice in our own kingdoms and when we participate in others' kingdoms, both big and small. We are called to show the humble service that the King has shown. We are called to mirror what this true King has brought. We are called to show that love and grace stand stronger than violence and aggression. We are called to show that peace is desired more than war. We are called to show that sacrifice is more powerful than acquisition. Let us gaze this day, as we do every day, upon the actions of the true King. Let us see the choice that this true King made. And then let's let those actions influence us. So that when others look on our kingdom, whatever that is, they see the true King, the crucified and risen King.